Hi, I'm Joe Chisholm from Rebellion Dogs Publishing.
And I'm Bill Schaberg, the author of 30 Things, Practical Advice for Living Well. And today we'd like to talk to you a little bit about the third chapter in my book. No matter what you think, it's a communication problem.
So, the first two chapters, okay, I know what we're going to talk about. But here, everything's a communication problem. Like just talking about me and my relationship, what about money and sex and other members of the family and codependency and all this other stuff? What are we really talking about here?
Joe, I know I had exactly the same reaction the first time I heard that. It just didn't make any sense to me. Sarah and I went into couples counseling after we've been together about a year. And this was one of the things that he told us early on, that it was always a communication problem. That was his firm belief. And I thought he was just out of his mind. That didn't make any sense to me. I thought we had money problems and we had sex problems and we had all kinds of problems we needed to talk about. And he wanted to talk about how we talked about things. And he actually said to me, well, when I objected so strenuously, as you can just well imagine, he actually said, listen, I'll come for about three more sessions. And if you don't think I'm right after the end of three sessions, I'm going to give you a free session. And he's a guy who never gave anybody anything for free. So I had to be in for the next three sessions at least.
And I'm guessing you lost that bet?
Oh, absolutely. No doubt about it.
Well, Bill, you need to tell me exactly how that happens.
Well, the way it happened was we really lucked out because we ended up with this counselor, Larry Schneider. And Larry Schneider, most couples counselors come into the room thinking they need to be a referee. And most couples come into the room thinking they need a referee. And Larry was not a referee. He refused to be a referee. Larry Schneider was a teacher. And what he did was teach us how to talk to each other fruitfully, honestly, candidly, all the cards on the table, so that we could go home and use those communication skills to solve our problems by ourselves.
Okay, that's good, but can you give a little more detail of how exactly that works?
It wasn't just a new awareness of how I sounded so frequently when I talked to Sarah. It was about the things I had to be saying when I was talking to Sarah and how it was important for me to package them in such a way that she could actually hear them. And you know, that's not easy. It wasn't easy because 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 I needed to learn a lot about how to talk to Sarah properly. It just wasn't easy. But what really was great was that this counselor Larry Schneider taught us. He taught us a bunch of skill sets on how to talk to each other.
Skills, that totally makes sense to me. Like it's an acquired knowledge. I don't just come to a relationship as a natural, great communicator. So what skills did he teach you?
What he was trying to do is to teach us these things that we could take home and work at home. That was, it wasn't the counseling session floor where the things happen that were important to happen. It was when we got home. And what were those things? One of the things was he was really strong about, listen, you have to make time, or you certainly have to take time, no matter what, to sit and talk to each other. You need to be communicating. And then while you're communicating, please, never interrupt each other. Let someone say exactly what they've got to say, and then you can talk when it's your turn to talk. And by the way, you got to remember that you are not a mind reader. You are absolutely not a mind reader. You need to ask questions. Anytime you think you understand what's going on, probably is a good time to back up and say, is my understanding of this correct here? It's just amazing how often I was getting things wrong because I have this omniscient ability to read my wife's mind.
You got me right in the heart here. What else?
Well, I never sweep problems under the rug. You just always have to talk about these things. And there's a whole bunch of these things that come up in any relationship that, if especially if you're non-confrontational, as I am and as my wife is, that do get swept under the rug because it takes a fair amount of courage to say, honey, can we talk? I mean, I say with some regularity over the last 30 years, the 10 most courageous things I've ever done started with the sentence, Sarah, there's something we need to talk about.
It- It's, I go back to it's an acquired knowledge. Like it sounds almost, it's simple and overwhelming. And when you just express that, sometimes I just have to say, honey, there's something we need to talk about. That just sets the whole ball rolling. Tell me more.
Well, even when you do all those things, when you're setting up conversations and you're not interrupting, you're not throwing things under the rug, and you're saying, I really need to talk to you about this. Sometimes those conversations go south. I mean, they just do. I mean, no matter how skillful I may be in my communication, or she and hers, it goes south. And one of the best things he taught us was when that happens, you can just call a timeout. You can say, time out. This conversation is not going well, right? Yeah, yeah, I can see this is going south on us here. So we'll have to make an appointment to talk about it later. You're taking a time out, but you don't just stop the conversation and say, I don't want to talk about this. You
Mhm.
say, honey, we're not doing a good job of talking about this, but maybe 10 o'clock on Sunday morning. How can we revisit this problem and this issue on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock? So this ability to stop conversation that are not working well going south on you and taking a time out was that was just a gift of the gods. It really, really was. It was one of the things that we used a lot in the beginning before we this again these skill sets aren't things you say, oh yeah, oh I got that, I can do that, no problem. The problem is that in the heat of the moment, it's in the heat of the moment. You need to be paying attention to the way you're talking. I need to be paying attention to my tone. I need to be paying attention to, am I being honest here? Or am I trying to protect her in some way? Something I should never, never, never do. I'm not say things because I'm afraid it's going to be painful for her, or it's going to upset her, or it's going to get her mad at me, and I need to bite the bullet and have that conversation.
Honest with everybody, not how my coping mechanisms work, but I get it. It's difficult, but it's so satisfying and it works so well. So going back to where we started, you never won the bet?
Joe, I never won that bet. And the reason I never won that bet was Larry Schneider did this brilliant job of he wasn't just trying to convince us by argument that he was right and I was wrong, that it was a communication skill. What he did was he constantly pointed out problems we were having with our communication skills and making suggestions for how we could change those things. So it wasn't an argument as such. It was he showed us and he convinced us by doing that we needed to be more honest with each other. And once we did that, we would have way better communications. And having way better communications means we're going to have a way better life together. And that has proven to be 1000% true.
Again, Bill, I'm going to go back and read the chapter because it is obvious and it still takes time and effort, but beautiful. What a great chapter. Now, speaking of communications, anybody who's interested in reading some sample chapters or getting more information on 30 things, practical advice for living well, can visit rebelliondogspublishing.com or go to 30thingsthebook.com where you can read a chapter. It'll direct you where to buy it as well. Thanks for being with us again.